what is a grown-up, mature male psychology that then promotes health or promotes like psychological well-being?
We now bring you Enter the Freud.
Oh, I used to have such great hair, and now look at my hair. Like, it's not that cool anymore, right? or what?
Right?
Are
you worried that your hair, as you're getting older, is starting to look not so cool?
It is definitely not very cool. And
why? You know what's wrong with your hair?
It's just like, because I've always had a big forehead, but it's like actually receding, and now it's thin.
Oh.
Like it's and so I can't like do cool styles with it anymore.
Oh.
Right. It's kind of like and then you know what I think about when I think of like, oh, my hair is like that, then I'm like, well, I'm now gonna get super dapper. And I'll like I think about this, and I've postponed it. I've told myself I'm gonna do it when I'm 50.
At 50, you're gonna get super dapper?
Super dapper. But like, why is that, right? But
you're probably fighting against getting old and wrinkly and ugly, and you want to maintain your fucking animal attractiveness.
Yeah, I'm going to be old and wrinkly and ugly, and I'm going to be so fucking fly.
What are you going to do? What's the dapper strategy?
Dude, I think I'm going to go straight like Wall Street, like just straight tailored suit with the suspenders and like basically like a banker from the 1940s.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Right?
And you can have a little handkerchief sticking out of your pocket.
I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know if I will.
Ascot.
I kind of want it. It's like my vision is like steampunk, dapper.
Wow.
So I don't want it to be fully classic all the way through. I just like, but like mostly classic, but then like perhaps straight neck tattoos.
Oh, okay. A mix of super classic and edgy.
Yes. In my mind, it's not clear either, right?
Yeah.
I just know like for some reason I've kind of been like shy to do that. It's almost like because it's so peacocking what I literally intend to do, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not allowed to do that yet. It's almost
okay, so we have the image of this dapper guy. Now, describe the opposite of him.
Oh, the opposite is just like totally unmanicured. Just like what I do now, but
the
actually,
old unmanicured dude, like describe him. What's his deal? Like, because that's the guy you don't want to be. What's he like?
Yeah. Okay. So it's just like gave up, doesn't try because he doesn't think it. I think he doesn't think it. He deserves it, or that he won't wear it well, so he'll be mocked. As when you see a lot of mature men and they are attempting this, it's often very wrong. You can see it a lot in LA. Like when you go to LA and you see guys that are 50 years old, they frequently have on age inappropriate attire, right? They're dressed like 20-year-old models with really tight t-shirts and fucking fit torn jeans. And you're just like, bro, you are not fooling anyone.
Oh.
And there's something there. I've been, as you were mentioning this thing that you have as a kid where you see how the world works and you see how to navigate through that. I'm just acutely aware of this phenomenon of becoming mature, and then what is like a fantastic way to posture in maturity.
Mm-hmm.
Like what would be so fucking rad? And I'm like, oh, I can kind of see it, you know? I can see it. But it's like art, it's creativity, you know? It's like an expression through it, your apparel and your attire, right? Because my face is wrinkly and aged, and I'm like, oh, well then now I can do this whole thing where if you do it when you're 20, you look fucking stupid. What I see here in DC is like, you kind of see I've seen both of them, because there's people that actually go out here in DC when they're older, this is the only city I've ever been in where you see people that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s at a fucking bar and a nightclub, right? And those people are typically wearing like formal attire. Formal-ish.
Yeah.
Not like a tuxedo and shit. But like they are of this generation when you would dress like that.
Totally. It's very classy and like well appointed and
Yeah, and then there's also just the opposite of that around here, where it's just people gave up a long time ago and they clearly just don't do anything. They just wear sweatpants and they just go from their house to the thing and then back and
and then there's the dudes who are trying to like dress like a 20-something, and that's kind of like a different thing that doesn't work in a different way.
Yeah, and that's where I'd like run into this thing where, like, why can't you do like a scalp restoration project that looks great? Why can't you? All the actors do it. Like, why is it so frequently that the normal person, when you see that they've done this, it's not going over very well, right? Why?
You mean when they do like hair plugs?
Yeah, but there's some technology apparently where they just like graft the hair from back here up to the thing, and it goes like, but you know, like all the actors have that done.
Right.
Like, but it just looks, and I don't know why is that like considered so not cool.
I think
right?
that that's a good question. I think that there's a narrative that aging gracefully is something like you kind of are comfortable with yourself as you are, and you don't need to fight against natural aging. So if you get hair plugs, there's a narrative that like you're terrified of aging and you're desperately fighting against it, versus a person who just like accepts it and he's so comfortable with himself that he's okay with like going bald or whatever.
Right, but see, my own project of this like persona, this person, is totally a compensation. Like, it's an artistic expression, but I'm also like, oh, I'm gonna do this, well, because I can, you know? Because I can, and I want to do it in a way that's not foolish.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I can go to Turkey and have them graft my hair in a way that's not foolish.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I could totally go do that, because you don't have to have it like a hard fucking widow's peak like Stallone.
Yeah.
And like these guys have gone, like, I don't know. Well, I guess this is just like their vision of themselves is their job, and it becomes like an impossible like trap. I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
well,
to be an actor.
Me and Rhiannon went out to this super fancy holiday party at like this super fancy place, and everyone was all like decked out in tuxes and shit. And it was mostly older people and mostly rich people. And there was a lot of like older dudes, and that older from their 40s and 50s into their 60s and 70s, who were rich and so who have younger hot chicks. And so there was tons of older dudes, and we started talking about this kind of thing. I was talking about Rhiannon, And I was talking about, I wonder if the cool thing to do is to dye your hair. And she was like, no, dyeing their hair is bad. I'm like, but why? Like, gray hair makes you look old. Why not just dye it and have it be not gray? And she's like, let me show you. And so and I never noticed this. She has an eye for this kind of stuff you're talking about. She just started pointing out dudes who dyed their hair, and I never noticed it. And she was like, see how bad that looks? See how bad that looks? See how bad that looks? They look fucking desperate. They look like they're pathetically trying to be young. And look at the chicks that those guys are with. They're like old dudes who have some young, stupid trophy wife. And I was like, holy shit. And then we both... Go ahead.
Really? This is what you saw?
Yeah, totally. I was shocked.
But
she was totally right.
So when you saw it, it was immediately like true.
Yes,
totally. It was like
except then, and I don't think she ever noticed this. I definitely didn't notice this. Then she was like, "Oh wait, there's a dude who dyed his hair, but he did it skillfully, and you can't really tell he dyed his hair." And he did it with more subtlety and maturity, and it actually looks good, and nobody would really notice that he dyed his hair. And there was like two of in this party of 1,000 people, there was like two of those guys, and there was like 70 guys who had dyed their hair just out of desperation to not be gray, you know?
Holy shit.
Because I'm always like, I think I'm going to dye my hair. I don't like the gray. It makes me look older. She's like, hell no, you cannot dye your hair.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is one of the things that happens as we get old is the gray hair, the gray beard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like when you see my dad, silver, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and how do you do this and embrace it? Well, this is conversation has taken a very interesting turn.